If you own a limo business and you've been asking yourself, how can I use AI to improve my limousine business? You're going to want to watch this video. So yesterday evening, I had a call with a client who asked me, hey, Mark, we really haven't been using our CRM. CRM is just a database you have of clients that stores things like how much that client was worth, where they came from. You probably heard the word attribution. Was it Google, Bing ads, Facebook? Was it their website? And even then, what campaign was it? How much is it going to help me if I start really keeping that up to date and start being on the ball with that? And I told him it's the most important thing he can do going forward, and there's nothing even close. And when you're asking yourself, how can I use AI in my limo business? That's really the wrong question, right? That's really a solution looking for a problem. What I can tell you is this: what you should be doing as soon as possible, if you are not doing this, is making sure, if you're doing any sort of online advertising or you intend to do it in the future, you're using some sort of software that is collecting customer information, phone number, email, name, address, and then attribution data. Where did they first find you? Where was their last click? Meaning, did they find you on Google and then eventually got retargeted with a Facebook ad? What are the click IDs of these things? I'm going to go over what all those things are, what attribution is, things like click IDs. I know it sounds confusing, but it's actually relatively simple. And most importantly, I'm going to go over why it matters. And if you've ever asked yourself, how can I get more of the type of client I'm looking for? The answer is data. And so while I can't tell you exactly how you should be integrating AI into your limo business, there's lots of different solutions for different problems that are out there. What I can tell you is this: if you want to position yourself to be way ahead of the competition in the next few years, you want to be collecting data. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to collect that data, how we collect it, how our clients collect it, the types of data that we collect. And then I'm going to show you how we are actually implementing this in our campaigns today for our clients in order to make sure they start getting more qualified leads, most importantly, less unqualified leads, less tire kickers, less maybe retail shoppers, less people that are calling and soliciting your business. And data is the answer to the AI question. So stick around. By the end of today's video, you're going to know how you can start collecting this really most valuable thing you can potentially collect. And keep in mind, virtually no limo business, very few limo businesses do this. So stick around. So data, what do I mean by data? Well, data is something that can be lots of different things, but let's start with phone number, name, email address, business address, home address. That's all data, right? But the really important data for you operators to be collecting right now is things like what was the attribution, where did your client come from? And so I'm going to show you a really cool picture of what it looks like when you're collecting the right data. And I think you'll probably start to understand just with me showing you this why it's so valuable. So this person here, he first found us on a paid search campaign. So this was a Google ad campaign. And if I go to this question mark here, you can even see, the campaign it was, the content I believe is the ad. And then I believe it even has a Google click ID here somewhere. Oh, it's down here. Okay, so the first attribution source, that means how this person first found us. Now, it is possible he saw something on TikTok because we're on every social platform. It is possible that maybe he saw a short video there and then he went and searched, who's this Limo marketer? Now, I could figure this out. All I would need to do is go in and see the actual keyword that got triggered in his search. And if he searched Limo marketer, he likely found me somewhere else. Now, I'm not going to do that, but I just want to show you so you guys have an idea of what I'm referring to when I say data. You really want to get your attribution dialed in. So the first attribution source was Google Ads. So for those of you who aren't familiar, if I do a quick search right now, Limo marketing. Now, you're not going to see this thing here, right? I'm running ads right now for my own business. And so this is, this is our ad. So you won't see it. But this is, you might see something like this. Now, I'm going to, cost myself a few dollars here to illustrate a point. So I'm going to click on my ad. What do you notice here? So, do you see this? UTM source equals Google. UTM medium equals CPC. Some of you might have noticed this before. These are called UTM parameters. And whenever you click on an ad, you should see these if the company doing your marketing, or if you're doing your own marketing, if you're doing it correctly, you want to have these UTM parameters set up. And really all it is it's just a string that goes after this slash here that really reveals where they came from, right? So for instance, this click came from Google, medium CPC, so medium could be organic, right? UTM campaign, I believe that's the actual ad. Yeah, that is the campaign in Google Ads. And then look, we even have the term I searched here, Limo marketing, which is pretty cool because keywords and terms are different. I have lots of videos about that. But now you might see this G braid here. So G braid, also there's another term, Google Click ID. Let me show you guys. You probably noticed it says here, Google Click ID. So G braid is similar. What that is think of it like a signature for that click, right? Google's charging me for that click, and every time someone clicks on an ad on Google, and pretty much all ad platforms have this, there's a unique signature for that one click, so it can be tracked. Why is this valuable data? Well, when you collect that and then you eventually associate it with a quote you did, and then maybe the client even booked, right? And then maybe they even become a repeat client and they become one of your best clients. Now, what you have in your CRM is that click ID is associated with an amount of revenue. So keep following because this is really the most crucial piece here. How these ad campaigns work is they're constantly bidding and trying to find who the right person is. So right now I clicked on my ad, right? And it, I have limo marketing is actually, I believe, one of my keywords, but even if it wasn't, let's say it was limo marketer, Google's still going to likely show for limo marketing because they're very close to each other. Unless, of course, I had marketing as a negative keyword, but I digress. Over time, you're going to build up this data if you are using the CRM. Maybe that's HubSpot, maybe that's Infusionsoft, Salesforce, High Level is the one we use at our agency and our clients use. So if you are using a CRM and all of the leads are going into it, you should be collecting Google Click ID, Microsoft Click ID, or G braid. That's an ID more associated with like Macs. It can get pretty complex, but really what you need to know is you want to have the click ID and the amount of revenue associated with that client. And was it a qualified lead and it didn't convert into a sale? Because that's valuable, right? It's better than an unqualified lead. What we're trying to do when we're running ads is we're trying to get leads, right? So let's say someone searches DFW limo service and they click on an ad and they go to the page, and what they will likely find is a page that might look like this, where there's a phone number, there's a quote request form, and then sometimes there might even be a chat widget. Now, of course, if you land on a website and this is a landing page, and you'll notice there's no other, you can't click on anything else. And that's the whole point. That's why we don't send people to websites, is because there's a million different things they can click on. And really what you want is their information so you can follow up with them, give them a quote, hopefully eventually book them as a customer. So that's very commonly confused. And I get that question a lot, which is very important concept to understand of why landing pages are superior. But we are trying to get phone calls, form fills, chat requests, and we call those conversions. So a conversion is essentially a lead. So someone calls you, and you can even say, okay, if the call's over 30 seconds or 1 minute, then count it as a conversion. We use a third-party call tracking, CallRail, call tracking metrics. Those are both good and viable options. Highly recommend third-party call tracking. And then the form leads, those are the easiest ones to track. And if you do want to send people to your website, that's when you do, after they fill out the form. And then on the thank you, that's generally, we actually send our clients' or our clients' prospects to a page that shows one or two of their best reviews with a link to their reviews. And then sometimes we'll even have a, click to our website to view our fleet or something. But we're trying to get conversions when we're doing online marketing, not just visitors to our website, because to get visitors to our website, we're paying every time someone clicks on our ad, right? Every time one of these Google Click IDs is generated, every single time you're paying money for that. So you need to get something for it. Okay. So when we're building out these campaigns, we get them started. Initially, and I tell everyone this, usually in the first few weeks, the results aren't as good. The results get better pretty quickly. And here's why. It goes through what's called a learning phase. So a learning phase is where the bidding algorithm is trying to figure out who your ideal customers are. And what it does is, and when I say bidding, I want to be clear. You'll typically see, if I search, hopefully we'll see ads pop up. If I search limo service near me, hopefully there's going to be, so there's, look, 4 ads popped up. When I say bidding, and there's probably 20 or 30 other potential or more ads that could popped up that are running ads for that keyword in this area. But if you're being bid to the number one spot, your chance of someone clicking on you goes up tremendously if you're the number one ad spot. So that's what I mean when I say bidding, because the number one ad spot, and I'm just throwing out numbers here. Let's say they pay $10 or $12 a click. Let's say the number 2 spot spends $7 or $8. Number 3 might spend $6. And then number 4 might spend $4 or $5. Number 1 is always paying the most. However, that's okay, right? If it's your ideal client. Back to what I was saying, remember when I was referring to that pretend customer who clicked on the ad, became a corporate client or whatever, and eventually spent $50,000, $100,000 with our business. And all of that is tied back to that original click ID. The reason this data collection is important is for the bidding. So right now, whenever one of these things happen, form lead, phone call, chat widget, we're telling Google we want more of those. We're counting those as conversions, but they all count as one. Now, if you're telling the algorithm, these are all just as valuable, like each and every single lead. The problem is, what if a marketing agency is trying to cold call new potential pay-per-click customers? They're the best potential leads, by the way, because they already know you're spending money on advertising, right? So for those of you out there that are running advertising, you know this is happening all the time, right? Marketing agency clicks on your ad, which is very, very, unethical, but it happens all the time. Then they call you trying to offer their services to you. Well, Google, if that call, first off, most of you are likely not tracking calls unless you're working with an agency or you yourself know how to set this up. Very important that calls are tracked as conversions, but generally there's a duration, and that might be 30 seconds, 1 minute, where it's counted as a lead. Now, if the call is, let's say, just say it's 30 seconds, the call's over 30 seconds, that's counted as, just think of it as a 1, right? And that's given the same weight as the guy that I was talking about, who's that $50,000 client, right? He's a 1 as well, right? So the marketing agency, completely not a lead, right? Completely unqualified, still counts as a conversion though, right? And then this guy over here, your most ideal client ever, is also counted as a 1. So they're given the same weight, right? They both have their own click IDs. The difference is one of them in the CRM is marked as spam, and the other one eventually accrues $50,000 or more in spend with you. And so you probably see where I'm going with this. This is how all agencies that work with service-based businesses, which I'm talking home services, roofers, chiropractors, plumbers, you name it, limo services, honestly, really anything but e-commerce, this is how it's done. They are tracking the number of conversions you get, and unfortunately, when you get an that marketing agency, that's obviously irrelevant, right? But what if it's someone who searches limo service to DFW airport and they call you? They're located in Dallas and they're looking for what you offer, where you offer it. And you're talking to them on the phone and they get a quote and they're like, yeah, this is my first time ever looking into this. I just didn't know what it costs. And you guys are so much more than Uber, but thank you anyways. That would be an unqualified lead, right? But it's still counted as 1, the same as that $50,000 client, right? And so it's receiving equal weight as the marketing agency, the unqualified Uber person, and then your ideal best client avatar ever, the business executive, or better yet, like the law firm that uses you for the next several years and spends hundreds of thousands of dollars with you, right? They're all getting equal weight right now. And that's how everyone does it until now. Well, most are still going to do it that way probably for several years. So we are transitioning everyone, and this is probably the thing I'm more excited about than anything. I feel like there's that quote, there are weeks where, or there are decades where nothing happens, and then weeks where decades happen. I feel like it's like that. And I think it's AI, the machine learning has gotten much, much better at Google to the point where it's allowing us to do some really cool stuff. I'm going to be making some more videos about these other really cool things that once you have this tracking in place, it really opens up what you can do in terms of advertising. I'm not just talking search advertising, okay? Don't get me wrong, search advertising is great, but it's expensive because they're already searching for that service, right? They know what they want. And of course, those are going to be the most expensive leads because they're actively searching. That's called bottom of the funnel. They know what they want, right? They're just trying to find the vendor. Well, with enough of the right data on who your ideal client avatar is, you can start going higher up the funnel. Now, the funnel, think of a funnel, right? There's obviously, and there's people in it. There's less people at the bottom of the funnel than at the top of the funnel. And so when Google starts learning who this avatar is by giving it enough data, it can start finding people before they're even searching for the service, because Google knows so much. They have so much data. If you have a Google account, they've got your search history, websites you visited, because think about it this way. Not only do they have all the search data, but they even, Google Analytics is on Google Tag Manager. They're not, all of these things are free, right? They're all free. Google's so generous, right? No, it's, you are the product, right? Your data is the product, and they have more data than anyone. Not much we can do about that. But you want to think like Google thinks. You want to get into data collection. So we've set it up so that we know every time any of our clients gets a phone call, formerly chat widget, there's either a Google or Microsoft or Facebook click ID associated with those leads. And just going back to our account, if I look here, so you'll see this started, the first time this person found us was back in September of 2024. And then it looks like, back in October, then the next month, it looks like found us again through PPC, I'm guessing. And then there was he likely went back to the same page, I'm guessing. And then there was it looks like almost 7 months went by, and then he clicked on one of our Facebook ads, right? And so we've got a Facebook click ID, and that was the last, that was the last click that got us, him. It looks like he filled out a form back in October, but then he, inquired again based on a Facebook ad, right? So let's say this person became a client, and we eventually have exactly how much this person generated in revenue, and we're using that to feed back into the ad platforms. And that's where I'm going with all this, because you're probably wondering, Mark, this is all great, but what am I going to do with all this data? It's called offline conversions. So with e-commerce, it's so much easier to set up more effective bidding, because they're paying online, right? So you get the dollar amount right there. In service, and by the way, this is why everyone still does it this way. The reason is it takes someone manually. There's actually ways, and I'm going to go into this in other videos, where we're actually doing it automatically for many of our clients. But there are ways, so there are ways to do it, but mostly it's lead comes in, you quote them, send out the quote, they're marked as quoted, they book, you mark them as booked, that revenue is attributed to them. It's manual. And this will likely, even in another year, I'm guessing it's all going to be automatic, because it will just know, it will understand, oh, they've sent a quote, they agreed on this price, and it will automatically fill this in. So this is April 15th, 2025. So I'm guessing that it's going to be much different, even in the next year. But we're going to upload daily, and this is what we're doing now, all of their good leads. So this is what we are doing with the data, and this is really what the point of everything I've discussed is we've switched from a maximized conversion bid strategy, which almost every agency that knows what they're doing is using, right? Remember, that's where it counts. Everything is one, right? To maximize conversion value, okay? meaning marketing agency doesn't even count at all, unqualified. Uber person who's looking for something comparable to Uber, unqualified. Ideal client who's worth 50,000 or more, 50,000, right? Because think about it, it's got data points on each of those people, or they've got, especially if someone's logged in their Google account, they've got data on most people, quite a bit. And so, especially if you're using Google G Suite, and it's really insane. But so what's going to happen is over time, and this, I'm not talking about days or weeks. I'm talking about really probably in 6 months to 1 year, it's going to be night and day, the results. Right now, our conversion goals for this client is qualified leads and converted leads. Now, that seems strange, right? Why are we doing both? Well, unfortunately, there's not enough converted lead data to switch to converted leads, but we will soon just be switching to converted leads once we have enough data. And just so you guys kind of know what it even looks like here is this is a spreadsheet from that is hooked to our client's high-level account that is putting in the value as well as the Google Click ID. Those are really the most important things. The value in the Google Click ID. We're also, we've got other data in there. And then we have another spreadsheet for converted leads with the Google Click ID and then all the data. And so, and you might be thinking, man, that looks like a decent amount of data. You still don't have enough? No, not yet. But when we do, we're going to switch to just converted leads. And it's going to be a game changer. So we're going to start out with our ad campaigns you have to start bidding manually. Then we're going to switch to maximize conversions like this because we will not have enough qualified lead data. But over time, we're going to switch to what we have on how we have it set up right now, and then eventually to converted leads. And very excited for this because it used to just be SEO where I would tell clients that the real value is a year down the line or more. And now I believe the same is true, and it might even be more so with your ad platform. So if you're watching this video and if you stuck around this long, congrats. Data is what you need to collect, and that data is which leads are unqualified. That's one thing we're making immediately to all clients is when they get someone who's unqualified, and we want them to be not too crazy with marking as unqualified, that data doesn't even go into Google Ads. Okay, so the only data we're going to be uploading is qualified leads and then also converted leads. So we're going to do both. And when there's enough converted leads to switch to optimizing for that, we're going to switch to converted leads and again, having values for each customer. Now, you might be asking, how could we make this even better? Well, this is going to have the initial transaction, not the lifetime value of that client, which would really, that's the holy grail. And I know we're going to get there, but even if you don't even talk about amounts and all we do is we start not even having the unqualified leads being counted as one, all we would really need to do is just make sure whenever it's a solicitation, whenever it's someone who is unqualified, they're not counted as one. They're not counted as all in the bidding algorithm. And that would be tremendously better than what we have now. However, if you can get the values, I can see that being even more valuable. So thanks for watching the video, guys. In the next few months, if you're a limo business and you're not using some sort of CRM, some sort of software to track all of your UTM parameters, your Google click IDs, all your attribution data should be collected on all your leads and your customers, as well as what they are spending with you. If you're not doing that, start doing that today, because I promise you, you will thank yourself in 1, 2, 3 years from now. And those are the companies that will win in the future. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you on next week's video.